It's Powerback time on the Gutsy Podcast. Each week we bring you 5 minutes of condensed inspiration to reclaim the courage and momentum you've given away. You've got big things to do, so let's get your power back. This week's Powerback is all about identifying which part of the drill that you're in and owning it. Earlier this week, we talked about the mental cycle of an entrepreneur and the 4 phases that we all go through. I mean, it's insane how many times I have watched and seen my friends and colleagues and other business owners and just the community at large go through these cycles and not even realize what they were. Whether you're having an aha moment, having lots of ideas that are in motion, are feeling a little like you're in a mental scramble, or if you've just hit a brick road and are having just a complete thumbs down moment. Identifying which part of the cycle you're in is empowering, because when you can recognize, own, and give each season its time and space, you can shift through the crappy ones a little bit easier and celebrate the great ones that much more. For instance, if you're having an aha moment, you know that's typically backed with time that requires research and figuring things out. If you recognize this, you won't get so bogged down with having to figure out the details, but instead invite them to be part of the process. And in the same respect, if you have hit that brick wall and you are feeling doubtful and you are feeling overwhelmed, giving yourself an opportunity to just sit in that space. Maybe not feel so comfortable, but it's an okay place to be, because just right around the bend is a spark of an idea that's going to lead you to your next aha moment, starting the cycle all over again. This week, I want you to take your power back by identifying which part of the cycle you're in and how you can use it to the best of your abilities. In case you missed Tuesday's episode, and I strongly recommend you go back and take a listen to that because we get really deep down in the trenches with it. Or maybe you did listen to it and you just need a little refresher. Let's go back over the cycle. So this is a good point to get your pen and paper. The first part of the cycle is the aha moment. This is my personal favorite because this is when just the doors of opportunity and ideas fling open and everything just seems right in the world. The aha moment is when you have that spark of an idea. Maybe you're driving in the car and you're like, oh, I got it. Or you've been really kind of just overthinking things for quite some time and you've taken a break and all of a sudden you just have this moment of clarity where all of it makes sense. The aha moment is full of lots of excitement, lots of energy, lots of momentum. If you're in this part of the cycle, I want you to ask yourself, how can you take your power back by harnessing that excitement? For me, it's writing things down. I have really great intentions that I'll remember everything that's going on in my head, but let's just face it, that's not really reality. So how can you harness the excitement that's happening during your aha moment? Is that when you're building connections? Is that when you're writing out through your agenda? Is that when you're planning out months ahead of time how you're going to make these things happen? Really harness the excitement that's happening because this is when you're at your sharpest. Shortly after the aha moment settles in comes ideas in motion. So this is when you take all the ideas that you've just created and you've just decided that you're going to move forward with, and you start researching like your life depends on it. I mean, you earn your own PhD in Google everything. You read all the articles, you read all the how-tos, you listen to podcasts, or you read books. I mean, you are just a complete sponge at this moment. It's almost as if you can't obtain the information fast enough. If you're in this part of the cycle, I want you to take your power back by setting deadlines for yourself, because it can become really quick and easy to over-research and overpopulate yourself with information from what everyone else in the world is doing. So ask yourself, how will I know when I've found enough? How will you know when you've read enough blogs or taken enough classes or however you're obtaining your information? How will you know that it's enough? Because the downside of this cycle is researching your industry and your idea to death, which is sometimes the cause of slipping into the next part of the cycle, which is the mental scramble. The mental scramble is when that idea that was once super clear and very exciting starts to become a little daunting and a little bit confusing, especially if you have over-researched and now you're starting to compare yourself to other people doing something similar to you. This is also the part of the cycle where your thoughts start to take over if you're not careful. So if you're in the mental scramble, I want you to take your power back by writing down what you're telling yourself and then read them aloud as if you're saying them to a friend. I'm going to guess that these are things that you're probably not going to say to anybody else other than yourself. Things like doubt, putting down, overcomplicating, worrying, feeling like you're not good enough, wondering if anybody cares. Should I even go forward with this? All of these are part of the mental scramble and things that I want you to get out of your head and literally onto paper. Because just like the last cycle, if you get too overwhelmed for too long, you may slip into what I consider the thumbs down moment. Sometimes this part of the cycle can last for minutes. Sometimes it can last for hours, days, weeks, months. I've even seen this cycle stop people dead in their tracks, and they put their idea back in a box, tucked away, never to be seen again. But we want to avoid that, and I want to help you through this. So if you are in this part of the cycle, this is the part where you feel like you've hit a brick wall. The ideas aren't flowing anymore. You feel completely kind of overwhelmed or emotionally numb to it. Life has gotten in the way. You don't have any time. Budget constraints have come in. I mean, there's just 1,001 different obstacles that I could name for why you feel like this. So if you find that you are in this part of the cycle, I want you to take your power back by getting out of your normal setting and doing something fun. I know that doesn't sound like something super constructive, but you would be amazed at how just doing something new or different or something that fulfills you can re-spark an idea. It could be something as simple as listening to your favorite album on full blast. It could be a drive in the car. It could be a walk in the woods. It could be an exercise class. It could be laying on the floor watching movies for 4 hours. I just want you to move your body outside of what you would typically do on a daily basis. Because all it takes is a spark of creativity to propel you right back around to the aha moment where your next great idea comes to life. The coolest part about this cycle is it's a little bit different for everyone, even though the framework is very similar. But at the end of the day, the most important thing to remember is you're not alone, and what you may be experiencing is a normal part of the process. Join me next Tuesday on the Gutsy Podcast as we dive into a subject that I didn't even realize existed until a couple of months ago, and that is the fear of success. Yeah, it may sound crazy, but apparently it's a legit thing. In the meantime, if you're loving this content and want more, head over to thegutsypodcast.com and sign up for our newsletter. See you next week.